What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to a fantastic episode. A good little win by the New York Mets, a three-game
Woo!
sweep. Seven in
Sweep.
a row. 7 in a row wins for the
7
Mets.
in a row.
7 in a row. Team is playing hot. Team is playing good. Still half a game out of the wild card because, of course, the Braves played the Rockies. They don't lose. But don't worry. We're playing good baseball. Keep it moving as we've got a series this weekend coming up against the Cincinnati Reds. We got Lindor MVP talks. We got Luis Severino being a beast. We got David Peterson. Ace. We have so much to talk about on this episode, so make sure you guys stick around till the end. If you are enjoying what you're listening to, all that good stuff, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. We haven't shouted out the reviews in a minute, so we're going to do that at the end of today's episode. Also, don't forget, did Frankie Pepper send anything?
100%.
Okay, good. Love to hear that. He sent us an insane picture of us. He printed out pictures of our faces, put them at his kitchen table or whatever, his dining room table, wrote our names on it, Mark Mets'd, James Mets'd. I saw he was replying to people. They're like, why did you put their names on there? He goes, I get confused sometimes. I need to remember what they look like. He's an absolute electric factor. He sent me a personal video of him feeding us the food. So. I mean, Frankie Peppers, you're one of a kind. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about the series here at the end. But James, how are you feeling? What do you got to say?
I feel great. Loopy. This is one of our latest recordings in a while. We're starting off here at midnight. We're having a good time. Just got off a shift. Mark had a fantasy football draft. We're just feeling good. And also, we had a great night at the ballpark on Tuesday. One of our best nights at the ballpark of the year. Just an amazing sweep. Mark had a couple of Coors lattes just dipped by the hand right into the bucket.
No hand dipping. They might have listened. They don't just listen for on the field. It appears they're listening off the field too, because those Coors Lights, they were crisp, they were cold, and they were out the tap, which respect that. I no germs this time.
All right, that's amazing. But Mets are fucking rolling right now.
They really
7
are.
wins in a row. We truthfully needed a win streak like this just because you had to keep pace with all these teams playing so well. And the Mets have responded with some major heat. They distanced themselves from the Cubs, distanced themselves from the Cardinals, and we're just fucking ready for the Braves to play one good team, and let us just make up some damn ground here. Even the Padres, I just watched them raise a 5-0 lead. I was waiting for you to finish your fantasy draft. The Diamondbacks early lead in the Giants. These teams don't lose, but it doesn't matter because right now we don't lose either. Amazing sweep against the Red Sox team that I think objectively sucks.
Yeah, no, they looked really bad. I know
Terrible.
that they have exceeded expectations this season, and you were a little more hip to the Red Sox than most, of that they would be able to at least be better than a complete
500
basement,
team.
than a complete basement dweller like pushover. But they don't particularly play good baseball. And watching them play this series, you could see that their bullpen, kind of similar to the Mets, where they just walked everybody in. They don't particularly play good defense. They don't run the bases that well. They're aggressive, but they don't really run the bases that well. And their lineup is just weak top to bottom. They have good hitters, but then like you sprinkle in Rob Refsnyder and you're like, listen, he might be playing well, but I have no fear when that guy steps to the plate.
Yeah, same with Roman Gonzalez, Danny Jansen, Ceddanne Rafael, though, that a lot of people seem to love. I think he's just an okay guy.
Did you hear Gary, Keith, and Ron again? I love them. I love GKR. But they were talking about like who's going to be the rookie of the year in the American League, and they're like, Rafael has got a good shot. I'm like, Wilyer Abreu is on the same team, has an OPS 100 points higher, is just a better player. What is the fascination with Ceddanne Rafael, who, for all intents and purposes, is a 25th, 26th man on most rosters? Like, he's fast. Is that it?
He's a little better than 25th, 26th man. He plays shortstop. He plays shortstop.
Really?
He does that, but he's quite a good center fielder, even though they already have one on their team. Rafael's a fine player, but I just think a guy like him who's like, wow, 14 homers, 17 steals, gets kind of trapped in like the in all like the narrative based discussions too much.
And RBIs out of the 9 hole. Don't forget that. That's a good
stat
stat that the old guys can have.
RBIs are good. Batting average, runs in scoring position, but also doesn't take a walk. But it's enough about this Red Sox team. They're just very bizarre. I don't even know what their path forward is. They got a lot of good prospects, but who knows where the hell this team winds up in a few years. We'll talk about the Mets. This was another fantastic series by Francisco Lindor, by the starting pitching, by the bullpen, by Jesse Winker. It's just people are coming at a left and right trying to make an impact for this team, and it happens for everywhere.
Yeah, let's start off with game 1, Labor Day, a little nighttime Labor Day game. Luis Severino going up against Brian Bayo. And it was a bit of a pitcher's duel for the first few innings, but luckily the Mets did get to Bayo, who his stuff, I get it. It's nasty. It moves so much, and I don't understand how he gets hit like he does. But shout out Francisco Lindor, shout out Luis Torrens, shout out Brandon Nimmo. Like, just the offense had a bunch of big hits when we needed it. It was a relatively easy win, which was nice. It was calm. It was cool.
If I remember correctly, we didn't trail in this series
I think you
because
are
we never
correct.
we never trailed Monday. We never trailed Monday. We never trailed Wednesday. We might have trailed Tuesday briefly, but I also don't know if we did. I
No,
can't
because
remember off the top of
Lindor
my
hit
head.
the 2-run home run, 2-0. There it
That's
is.
true. Yeah, so never trailed in this series. So wow, that's I guess it was pretty easy. Also, this Monday game you mentioned Turen's interesting that this was the first time he started back-to-back games in about 2 months, and he had two doubles for it. And then Alvarez came off the bench, and then Wednesday he had his two hits. He had looks like put together a couple more at bats, a lot of singles that we know Eric Chavez loved. But again, it's just it's they just won. It was kind of easy. Lindor. A couple hits, he's just so fucking good.
He's
Also,
so
Marte the double play early. Nimmo had a couple doubles. Marte just got another annoying series. I think now we're getting to a point with Winker where he's hitting so well that's causing some. It's definitely causing some interesting debates when Carlos Mendoza draws up the lineup card, especially with how bad Bader's playing, because you kind of can't take Winker out of the lineup anymore. He's almost too good.
I think against lefties, you probably
Well, no,
still
never.
are.
Yeah, he'll never play against lefties,
Yeah,
of
I'll never
course.
play
Yeah,
against
against
lefties.
righties.
But now it's a conversation of Marte or Tyrone Taylor because Tyrone's been just getting like big hits like he does. I know he's still not consistent enough, but neither really is Starling Marte. And Tyrone Taylor does give you just so much better defense. And when this lineup is hitting as well as it has been for the last couple weeks, you probably just take the defense over the bat in that spot, right?
Maybe. I don't know because you could kind of feel the difference between those two things between Monday and Monday and Wednesday. When Monday the defense was bad because Nimmo was playing center field.
True.
I think Nimmo also started center field Tuesday. You could just see that he's not a bad center fielder, but he's definitely not even as good as he was probably 2 years ago.
And
And he looks
Harrison
especially
Bader is
that's what I was
awesome
gonna say.
out there.
Yes, he looks a lot worse compared to Bader, but Bader's not hitting enough to be in the lineup. But the Mets outfield defense on Wednesday, they cut off three balls in the gap that all would have been doubles.
So
I mean,
sick.
Nimmo had the one down the line. There were the two in center field by Bader. McNeil had the really nice play down the line too on Tuesday nights. You could
Yep.
feel the differences, like the oscillations in the defense, like but this is a loopy episode. I'm sorry, guys, midnight. But you could feel how up and down this outfield defense can go, just literally depending on if Harrison Bader's standing on the field and if Starling Marte is standing on the field or not. And that part is like you could see it and it's annoying, but I see the logic between all the decisions.
I think what's really cool too is, and this is something that we've talked about for years now, like the Mets using all 26 men on their roster to their fullest ability. And the fact that they've got McNeil at second base, they move him to the outfield, they bring Bader in, they got Tyrone Taylor, you can bring Marte, Winker. Like all these guys are moving
That was
around
great.
and being used
Baseball
in
team.
such the right ways in the right situations. Again, we've talked about Mendoza at times has tried to push the button a little bit too perfectly. But in that same regard, they do have a team that is full of players. And it seems like Mendoza is going to use these guys every single game possible, as long as the situation fits. And even goes to the bullpen with Danny Young. He spoke to, I think, Tim Healy. To Tim Healy after the game on Thursday night because he got some huge outs in this series, Danny Young. He pitched really, really well.
Been getting huge outs for a month straight.
I know, but he was coming in the eighth inning in these situations. And that's something that I think, one, if you told Danny Young at the beginning of the year, he would have laughed. He's like, I'm trying to make the team, let alone pitch the fifth inning when we're down 5. But he came in, got some huge outs, getting Rafael Devers out, getting Tristan Casas out. But also in the same regard, he talked about how Carlos Mendoza, as soon as Danny Young was on the team in May, making his first appearance, said, I'm going to use you whenever. You could come in the 5th. You could come in 6th, 7th, 8th. When the lefties are in the game, you have a chance to be in. And Danny Young talked about how refreshing that was and how comforting it was to know that at any moment he could be used. So you have to be ready at all times. And that's something that we've seen with Mendoza. He will use anybody in any situation. He went to Adam Ottavino in games. He went to Huáscar Brazoban in games. This team's been very fluid, and it's refreshing to see them use all 26 men.
It's funny too because even going all the way back to Carlos Mendoza's introductory press conference when Once Upon a Time had the media credentials still, and I was there.
True. That's
and
right.
I had my hand up, and I should have known that was the beginning of the end because the Mets PR did not call on me when I had my hand up to ask a question in that press conference.
Guy to talk.
Yeah,
No,
of course not. No way. Not their own podcast person. But the thing that David Sears kept going back to about why Mendoza was the guy for his ability to communicate. And that seems so evident every single day that things happen with this team. And every single time that we think something's going wrong or we think something's not in the right spot, they always find a way. Like, yeah, Mendoza said this, Mendoza said that. Just that openness. You could feel it with the entire team. Winker talked a lot about it after the game on Wednesday, too, where he was just like, I've never been in a clubhouse like this. Like every single day, we can't wait to get to the ballpark and like be together and like work together and hang out and like do things. And you can just feel
Aw.
the joy from this entire roster that's like emanating. They had picture day on Tuesday, and these dudes were hilarious. Like they were like, let's do a silly one. Like
Yeah.
I don't think most playoff teams like let's take a silly picture. Like it's crazy. It's working, and they have to lean into it because that is something that's really, really, really important to this team right now.
Yeah, and everybody is stepping up. Everybody that comes into the game is doing something impactful. Like on Monday night again, Severino was great. I'm sure you're going to talk about him a little bit more on the pitching side. But Danny Young to get those 2 strikeouts, big outs in the 8th. And then Phil Maton filling in as the closer because Edwin Diaz had been used 3 days in a row. He'd been used 4 out of 5 days, whatever it had been. Phil Maton came in and it was 1, 2, 3, 2 strikeouts. Like all these guys are stepping up, and this is what's so great about David Stern's teams, about modern baseball built teams. You fit the pieces of the puzzle in, and it doesn't really matter if guys have specific roles or not. The guys step up when they're called upon.
And more things that Stern said in the offseason that have come through so heavily in the season.
The
People,
bullpen.
I feel, everyone said about Stearns like he seems like sneaky or like a snake, and like you can't really read what he's saying. He is so honest and he is
So
so
honest.
forthright. Every single thing he says is like that's exactly what's happening. He gave that quote at the winter meetings that I dubbed into the podcast a few months ago, where he was like, the truth with the modern bullpen is like it's like an organism. It's alive. Like your bullpen in April is not the same as your bullpen in June. Your bullpen in June is not the same as one in August, and no one's gonna know what the bullpen is gonna look like in September. That's exactly what's happened with this bullpen. Like, and you could feel that with Danny Young,
Well,
Ryan
dude,
Stanek. What?
listen to this. The bullpen right now. This is the bullpen for the Mets right now, and then I'll pull up opening day bullpen. So Edwin Diaz, Jose Budo, Phil Maton, Reed Garrett, Danny Young, Ottavino, Stanek, Alex Young, Huascar Brazoban. Let me find the opening day bullpen because it is going to be what only maybe 2 guys that were on the opening day roster, and Diaz and Ottavino. Go figure.
Yeah, one of them shouldn't be. Yeah, try and find that. But just it's so like he said that and he's delivered. It's exactly what has happened, like very in front of our eyes, like happening on the fly altogether. I still don't think this bullpen is necessarily good.
No.
But we went through 3 games this series where the bullpen gave up 1 total run, and it was just that one Jose Budo run when Mendoza tried. You got the bullpen.
I've got the bullpen. Brooks Raley, Jake Diekman, Jorge Lopez, Drew Smith, Michael Tonkin, Johan Ramirez. None of them are here. I know Brooks Raley is because of injury, but literally the only guys from opening day still in this bullpen, Edwin Diaz, Adam Ottavino. One of them is one of the best closers in the league. One of them is hanging on by the skin of his teeth, but you know what? Pitched well.
Yeah, definitely. And Winker actually, I don't know if you saw it, but he lets a comment slip about the bullpen to Gelbsy, Moonface, after the game.
No.
But it was like, how does it feel like in the late innings there, that rally? He was like, we always want to get more runs with this bullpen. Yeah, I was like, oh, he definitely didn't mean to say that, but it's not untrue. Like we were texting about it. Like you didn't feel very comfortable in that game with 4 runs. It felt like if the Mets either were going to score their 5th run and win, or they weren't, and this game was going to either go to the extra innings or they were going to lose it. And they wound up having the rally and doing that and winning that. But back to the game Monday, just talk about Severino. It's amazing what he's been able to do this year, bouncing back and being a legitimate workhorse. Like the fact that he is where he is in innings pitched. I want to get the exact number right now because I think he looks like he's on pace to approach about 200, which for a guy like Severino who has not done that in forever, I want to get exactly where he's at right now. He's at 159 and a third right now. So let's say he makes 5 more starts. He's going to get about 180 minimum, between 180 and 195. He hasn't thrown 190 innings since 2018. 2018, Mark, 6 years ago. You still had a year of college left.
Yeah, I did.
At least.
I was in the first senior year during
first
2018.
senior year. But it's just he's been able to do that. I know sometimes effectiveness goes up and down, but you cannot understate how much 160 really solid game, like keep you in a game innings count for a team over the course of a year. And the fact that the Mets signed him, everyone's like, oh, you're going to sign this guy Severino. You need pitchers who are actually going to pitch. Doesn't fucking matter. That we don't know. Past injuries don't always dictate future injuries. Sometimes they make them more likely, for sure. But another thing David Stern said, we think we know how to keep him healthy. Maybe he was just fucking flapping his gums and it's a bunch of nonsense bullshit, but it was true because they've kept him healthy. And the other thing with Severino, which I harped on like a month ago and I'm back to it now, is the fucking sweepers.
Yep.
That pitch is disgusting. And every time he throws that pitch at least 15 times in the game, he's awesome. 19 times on Monday, shut down the Red Sox lineup. It's clockwork. When he throws that pitch, he strikes out more batters, he allows fewer base runners, and he allows fewer runs.
And this Red Sox lineup was loaded with lefties. Jarren Duran, Willie Abreu, Devers, Casas, Yoshida, Emmanuel Valdez. Like 6 of the 9 batters, I think, in this lineup were lefty, and he was still so effective being able to use that sweeper. We talk about this every episode, but the Mets are really fucking up this pitching market for free agency because they're just having a bunch of guys that all of a sudden you're going to be like, Luis Severino, 175, 180 innings. Sean Manaea, 175, 180 innings. And you were not expecting those guys to come onto the free agent market and be dudes who are going to be looking for multi-year deals and deserve them. Based on how they performed.
Easily. So, I mean, Jedmer Hefner and David Stearns making a lot of guys a lot of money for probably other teams. So, but Severino also in this game, it wasn't even like he had pinpoint command. He was just throwing pitches. They were just missing it. Like he was just like, it was like, fuck you, Severino, like old school Severino. And he doesn't have that kind of stuff anymore. So I definitely don't want him to have this approach against better teams. But if he's still just sitting 98 and he's throwing this kind of stuff, like literally, why the fuck not?
Yeah, why the fuck not? So yeah, Monday, great game, good win. Tuesday, great game. Good
Boys
win.
In the ballpark.
Boys in the ballpark, like we said. $5 beers, Coors Lights, $5 hot dogs. Also, don't forget K Corner, $3 Coors Lights before the game.
No one knows that. And K Corner actually put on music this time for the first time, I think, all season. They were playing Sexy Red.
Yeah, Sexy Red. And then they also switched it up to like that Teddy guy. I don't know what his name is, but he sings like a very like folky love song or something like that. A lot of pain and anguish in his voice.
Yeah, it sounded orchestral. Also, I just remember we're talking about music. I want to shout out our boy Jordan J.R. Simpson.
Yes.
On Monday, he came and sang before the game, like the little stage that they Mets put up in, like near the Apple in front of Citi Field with what he said was his favorite band, who's also some Mets fans, Lawrence the Band. So
very cool.
That was really cool. Jordan's the man. He's one of the best people in the Mets community, and I was just happy to see how happy he was. Like, he's our friend. That was great.
Now, as for the game, where do you want to start first? You want to talk about Peterson first, or you want to talk about the offense first? I'm gonna let you pick here.
I want to talk about the vibe in the stadium because I thought it was really great. People were locked into this game. I don't think it was the biggest crowd because still, a Tuesday night when school's starting up, so it's hard for people to just commute and get to the ballpark all the time in September. But man, people were feeling it. Those home runs, like you could feel it. The MVP chance for Francisco Lindor, you could feel it. David Peterson's strikeout numbers are going up, and you could feel it. People were on the money at this game. The Mets had a bunch of new graphics on the board too, a bunch of new animations. They're ready for the stretch run as well. It just you can feel a lot of nice things coalescing right now, and I think that is something that's really exciting for this team.
Shout out Josh Rosenman. The new graphics were great. Those were fantastic. We know he's incredible in the graphics department. They were really good, and they were doing "Let's Go Mets" chants, which I liked. We had the MVP chants. They brought back the old guy who I don't know what it's from, but he's like scream from the wind.
It's not Back to the Future, is it?
I don't think so. He's like scream from the windows or whatever. Let's go Mets. That was great.
Yeah.
Good vibes all around, and it also started because David Peterson on the mound.
What a fucking dude,
what the fuck is happening? What is going on?
This is crazy. I've been doing it to you purposely his last 4 starts. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm like, this day Dave Peterson's finally gonna all come back.
I know. Yeah, no, I've noticed.
Yeah,
but I'm with you. I feel the exact same thing.
I feel it a little bit, but now these last few starts, it is starting to feel, I think, significantly different. And I think a big reason is because now David Peterson is suddenly just striking the entire world out. 11 strikeouts, the most he's had in a game in his career, 20 swings and misses, second most he's had in a game in his career. Do you remember the time he had the most swings and misses in his career?
Rays?
It wasn't. That was the third most. This was a game against the Braves, September 19th, 2000. I thought you said Rays, 2020.
Whoa!
So we must have been just sitting in that apartment in Astoria watching this game. I literally don't have recollection of this game at all.
No,
not even one.
No.
September 20, 2020. Also, again, we're going to talk about the Dodgers fans a little bit towards the end of the episode, but just to remember how stupid the 60-game season really was. Because if the Mets play a 60-game season, we were what, like 21 and 20 and like 29 or something.
Yeah.
That's 50 games. That's not 60 games. But we were under 500. We would have sucked. Nothing is what happened in 60 games. Just to go to show you how stupid anyone that ever talks about anything that happened in a 60-game season could possibly be. But back to David Peterson. This is just it's fucking crazy what's happening to this guy. The Mets are 14-3 in games he started. 14-3. And this is going to come with a bit of a caveat because something my dad told me. I think you experienced this too, where sometimes my dad tells me things and I'm like, that's probably true. Like, I think you definitely read it somewhere, but I don't know exactly where you read it. Because sometimes, again, you told me your dad struggles this too. My dad's Twitter, your dad on Facebook, where it's just like, you'll see something. And we were born in the dark age of the internet.
Yeah.
Like, we understand how to go through the muck because we were built by it. But the older generation, they don't really always know that. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Like, trade deadline season's bad. My dad told me a couple months ago what trade was it when we were sitting in Citi Field? That was ridiculous. It was Sal. It was like Sal Frelick for AJ Puck or something.
It was.
Like,
I think it was
what?
Sal Frelick for like someone not good, and we're like, no way they did that.
AJ Puck's been amazing since trade deadline. But back to that. But so David Peterson came back late this season because he had the hip surgery. And apparently, he has said via my dad, probably via the Daily News, so 70% chance this is true, that he said he would get very tired later in games with his hip. It was harder for him to sustain his energy and he would get fatigued more easily. And I wanted to like parse through some data, parse through some information, and look through to see if it's actually true. And I went to Fangraphs. I checked his pitch velocity graphs, and he has much tighter velocity bands in his starts this year compared to any time in his career. So other times in his career, he did have higher highs, but he had much lower lows. Where this year it's much tighter. He's keeping his velocity more level. And then I went back to check David Peterson's famous fifth inning, because that was always the inning where David Peterson would fall apart and stop pitching well. And this year, he's throwing about a mile per hour harder, both his four-seam fastball and his slider, specifically in that fifth inning, and sustaining that through the sixth, seventh, and eighth innings compared to where he'd been in his career. So I think there's some truth to that. And it seems like Peterson is just literally stronger. He looks stronger on the mound physically. He looks stronger on the mound mentally. His command has been fucking incredible. He seemed like he figured out, or maybe this was the game plan going into early in this start on Tuesday, I'm going to attack these Red Sox hitters, lefty and righty, with fastballs high in the zone. And he kept that fastball high in the zone. He only threw 2 below the belt that entire game. And I'm sure those 2 were by accident, just based on how he was going, what the game plan was like. That pitch got 14 swings and misses on 20 swings. 14 whiffs on 20 swings for David Peterson's fastball. 70% whiff rate for David Peterson's 93-mile-an-hour fastball that doesn't have good vertical action or vertical movement at all, but he has incredible extension, similar to Manaea. So there must be something that the Mets figured out video-wise with these lefties with extension. And also, piggyback on that, the Red Sox are the worst team in baseball against left-handed pitching. You mentioned all their best hitters are lefty before. Some of them don't even play against lefties. Devers struggles a lot against lefties. Highest strikeout in the league and bottom 5 WOBA against lefties in the entire league, besides all the horrible teams. So I think that was part of it too. But it was fastballs high. It was sinkers to the lefties low and in. It was changeups away to the righties. It was curveballs dropping for a lot of called strikes against guys from both sides of the plate, and then mixing in the slider when he had to. And he had all 5 pitches working, both sides of the plate. It was fucking beautiful. And it's like his start like this is like, oh, maybe he's kind of good now.
And I think the thing to me that just stood out the most, like you mentioned it earlier, is mentally strong, because Peterson had the ability to sulk a little bit at times and have bad body language at certain areas, and he just looks way more confident. I think that's even shown in the fact that he's pounding the zone. We looked up at, was it the fifth
Pounding his
inning,
tongue.
fifth, sixth inning, he had 55 pitches, and I think 9 of them were balls. And I'm like, that's
Yeah.
uncharacteristic for a David Peterson start, because something he's done in the past is just nibble, nibble, nibble. And it seems like now whatever is happening, whatever is going on, whatever the game plan is, he's much more confident, attacking the zone a lot more, and the stuff is working. Whatever this is, I want to see this forever. I want to see confident David Peterson. He is going to get hit. I'm saying this right now. There's going to be a game where David Peterson is going to get hit. He's human. He is not Jacob deGrom. But the way that he's pitching right now is just such a better version than we've ever seen of David Peterson. And it's so refreshing, because we got glimpses before. That slider was so nasty back in 2022. He's had the ability to have these kind of appearances where he's a really, really good pitcher and gives you a chance to win. But now it seems like it's all finally coming together, and it goes back to, I'm sure, the health. I'm sure a little bit of Jeremy Hefner, and pitching is hard. Sometimes it takes time. And just like with all these other Mets guys and a lot of pitchers, it might just be starting to click right now for David Peterson.
It's also such a thing with specifically tall lefties that just takes a long time for these guys to click and come together. Famously, Randy Johnson wasn't good until he was what, 29, 30 years old? I'm not comparing these 2 guys. I'm just saying that in general, like in terms of baseball history, tall lefties, it takes more time for them to find themselves, repeat their mechanics, and find their way. Also in this game, 89 pitches from David Peterson, 65 of them were strikes. And yeah, something amazing, just the lack of mistakes. He threw 1 pitch the entire game to right-handed batter that was middle in. And even that pitch that was middle in, it was kind of up towards the corner. So it's just he's executing. His mechanics are finally repeatable for seemingly the first time in his career. He's showing real positive emotion on the mound. Like he had a couple times in this game where he like screamed, like exalted, like let out a roar, which I don't really remember him ever doing. It's truly fucking awesome. This team wouldn't be near where they are without him stepping up this season.
Definitely. And just to finish off like the pitching side of things from this game too, Jose Budo coming in the game against big strikeouts, struggled in his next inning, but Mendoza pulled him, went to Reed Garrett, and Reed Garrett has been pretty good since coming back. He had that really weird stretch with Oakland and Miami where he gave up those runs. But since August 22nd, Reed Garrett has now made, how many appearances has he made? 5 innings, 6 appearances, 3 strikeouts, no earned runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, and that splitter is back to where it was at the beginning of the year. He's able to get the swings and misses. He's able to get the chases. He's able to get that weak contact. He's been really big, and I don't think we can understate how huge that is for this bullpen to have him as a useful reliever again.
Yeah, and the big part of that is that he is throwing that splitter more because he was throwing it a ton early in the season. He went away from it when he stopped being able to put in the zone. And now he's throwing it in the zone slightly more, but it's enough in the zone more to make them have to chase to swing at it. And he's mixing in a lot more cutters. He's fine. He's confident in the sweeper. He's had a couple of outings where he's been really confident in the fastball. There's not that many relievers out there who you could comfortably be like, yeah, I can go to 4 different pitches. And it's cool that Garrett's able to do that. Also, I didn't notice it because we were in the ballpark, but you were talking before about just all the lineup flexibility suddenly with this team. Jeff McNeil played 3 positions
Yes.
on Tuesday night. And I was looking up some random just stuff for fantasy baseball and content the other day. Jeff McNeil, since July 1st, is about a 280 hitter with about 350 on base
I
percentage.
know he's
and
been
a and a
awesome.
125 WRC plus. So that's now suddenly a guy you're like, oh, okay. He makes $12 million next year. Like I don't hate that at all. I mean,
love it.
I don't love it. No, I don't love it.
I
It's
do.
okay, but it's now palatable. But that's critical. And Vientos hit the big home run. We desperately need an insurance run. Pete hit the home run late because the game was already out of reach, so Pete can relax and get his big hit.
I called it.
And yeah, and you did call it. Ryan Stanek looked not disgustingly bad. That was cool.
He looked like a pitcher. He looked like a guy who could throw innings at some point.
Yeah, he's back ahead. He's now ahead of Adam Ottavino in the bullpen stink race, which is great because I think he's significantly better than Ottavino. Lindor stole a base because apparently stolen bases are really important for the MVP race. So he's got to try and steal as many as he can, despite his legs probably being tired from being in the field for 9 innings every single game. A lot of times, if a player's not in the field, they have a lot more energy to steal bases. I figure. So I think being in the field, you got to work on that leg strength.
Shout out Buck Showalter. I'm shouting him out again for his second episode. He was on MLB Network. And listen, didn't love Buck as a manager. He says crazy stuff on MLB Network, but he gives you good sound clips. I will say that. The guy's got some entertainment value on there because you don't know what he's going to say at any given moment.
The only reason he was a manager of this team was entertainment value.
Of course, yeah, because he was a name that everybody knew. He was a bad manager, but he's pretty decent on MLB Network. I don't agree with him, but he's good entertainment. He's talking about the MVP race, and he's like, Lindor's my MVP. He goes, he can go 0 for 4, and he can make an impact still because he's on the field. He's playing the field. He's like, Shohei Otani, if he's 0 for 4, he did nothing for you. He didn't help your team one bit. Now, I don't think Shohei Otani's probably gone 0 for 4 all year, but
he probably has.
How many times?
I'm gonna do. I'll look it up later in this episode. We're gonna do Lindor Glaze Suckfest at the end of this episode, but I got some stats ready to go.
Oh God,
he's the fucking man. But I was gonna say something else about Buck. I was gonna give my favorite Buck fun facts right now. I think a couple rattle them off. One, my favorite by far. Buck Showalter was fired before either of us were born as a major league manager. That's huge. Buck Showalter for 3 consecutive teams. He left and they went to a World Series within 5 years. I think that's really huge. The Mets are still in play for that, by the way. We could still do that, but don't get me wrong here. And next fun fact, everyone on this podcast right now is tied with Buck Showalter for wins in the championship series.
That's true.
That's critical. My last Buck Showalter fact, he managed the last team that the Yankees defeated in the playoffs in a full series that was not from the AL Central.
There it is. You love that one.
That's my favorite fun fact in baseball. 2013 Orioles, baby. Last time Yankees won a playoff series against a team not from the Central.
There it is. There it is. Good game overall. Loved it.
Great game.
Great vibes.
Great time in the ballpark.
Great time. Awesome time.
Oh, so good.
Give me a cheap beer. I'm a happy man.
I know it's a really good game when Mark turns to me on the 7 train going back when he's like a couple stops to Queensboro. He's like, hey, you want to go out? I was like, hey, I don't want to go out tonight. I was
itching. I was like, oh man, I would love to go out right now. I'm feeling good.
No, you can't just go out. I got to do shit. A little bit too many things tomorrow to go out right now. But fucking great game. Great night at the ballpark. I'm so excited to be back to this whole month because these games are freaking important. It's awesome.
They are. And then finishing up the series here, putting a little bow on it. Thursday night. Weird game, but great game.
Kind of easy, but kind of scary.
Yeah, because we got out to an early lead, 4 runs in the first inning, thanks to big Jesse Winker and that grand slam. You see, he waved to the fans. He did a little homage to the OG Jesse Winker clip where he waved to the fans after he made the catch and hit the home run, hit the grand slam as he's walking back to the dugout, gives a wave. He's just so incredibly locked into right now. It's got to be really refreshing for a guy like him to pick going to the Nationals right earlier in the season because he's going to get the playing time. He's going to get the at-bats. He's a guy who struggled the last couple of years, played really well. You get rewarded. You get traded to a team in the postseason run, and you are making an impact. You're playing meaningful baseball along with getting paid. This has to be something that is so great for him. After he hit the first Mets home run, it seems to have taken a little bit of a monkey off his back, and he's just been so awesome at the plate. His at-bats, even when he doesn't get hits, some of the best at-bats I've seen in a really long time from a Mets player.
Totally, because he goes up. I don't know. I hate using this term because we don't know. We're not in the room, but it feels like he always goes up with a plan.
Yes,
and he also has such an unbelievable mastery of the strike zone.
So good.
He doesn't expand the zone really ever. He kind of started that bullshit rally against Kenley Jansen in the 8th inning by taking 2 very borderline pitches, 2 pitches that were probably at least one of them was a strike. Those low and inside
50-50.
colors. Yeah, Kenley Jones, like little front door guys, sinker color, whatever that was. But sinker front door. But it's amazing what he's done. Last 15 games, Jesse Winker, 3 homers, 8 runs scored, 10 RBIs. Since he finally just fucking clicked. A lot of coughing from the boys this episode,
Yeah,
but
it's a late one.
it's a late one. It's great to watch him play baseball, and it seems like now that he's, like I said before, forcing himself into this lineup. This is the 9th straight game he started against a right-handed batter after he was kind of still platooning a little bit with Starling Marte coming back, Tyrone Taylor, Harrison Bader. But now, especially this last couple of days with JD Martinez on the paternity list, he's just I don't really want to have a game against a righty that Jesse Winker's not in.
No, he simply has to be in the lineup every single time a righty is on the mound. You can't not have him there. You mentioned the rest of this team as well, playing really well. Lindor continuing. Again, we will glaze fest or suck fest, as James said, which I hate that terminology. That's just absolutely worse. But it did get a little bit hairy because in the 3rd inning, Tyler McGill did the Tyler McGill thing. And for a moment, because he started the game nice, got a couple strikeouts, and I was like, there he is. Are you up?
Dude.
And I'm like, I'm awake. I'm here, Tyler.
He faced 17 batters in this game, and he got 14 swings and misses.
How the fuck did he do that?
Because his cutter was awesome. I don't know what he did in this game, but the command of that cutter was amazing. He doesn't have like a secondary toolbox. Because the last game, that game against the White Sox. Just shouldn't have counted, but the White Sox don't have enough players like actually platoon guys. So his lineup like full of righties. So he was just throwing sinker, two-seamer on the hands. It was a great pitch. This game, the Red Sox have mostly lefties anyway and stuck a lot more in the lineup against McGill anyway. So he didn't actually throw one of those two-seamers because they were all lefties. But he threw a lot of high fastballs that had a lot of life and a lot of those cutters. But the slider's not there, the curveball's not there, and the splitter's never developed. So it really just became like throw enough of those curveballs, mix the fastballs, throw those cutters low and in. But then once the 2 times around the lineup, because that rally in the 3rd inning came when they saw him the 2nd time.
Yes.
So then Carlos Meadows like, I'm not letting him see him a 3rd time. This would be ridiculous. But again, like, it wasn't like, I don't know. He's just quadruple A Tyler. That's just Tyler. That's kind of it.
He is a guy that like maybe it clicks at some point. Maybe he can he's a spot starter, but like truthfully, God, he's gonna be so good in the bullpen when he gets there. He's gonna be so good.
If he ever actually commits to doing that mentally, he'll be fantastic there.
He'll be lights out like his brother.
You don't have to face anybody 2nd time in the fucking bullpen, dude.
You can just throw 9 out of the bullpen.
You can just throw 98-mile-an-hour fastballs and cutters. You will get everybody, and then 2 seamers against lefties. You will get everybody, other righties. You'll get everybody out.
Literally will dominate.
Yeah, but yeah, so he came in, that happened, and it got hairy because we couldn't score another run. Tanner Houck, wow. Talk about fucking settling in. Yeah. Gives up the grand slam to Jesse Winker. Retires 13 batters with 7 straight strikeouts in the middle of that. He looked incredible. And I think me, you, Gary, Keith, Ron, once that 6th inning came and he came out, I was like, oh, nice. Yeah. Thank God he's out of this game. We did that little rally in the 5th, but was really happy to see Tanner Houck leave this game with 84 pitches. It still took a couple innings to score, but then we finally just walked around the bases enough to win this one.
Yeah, it was nice to see another team do this to us. Kenley Jansen, future Hall of Famer Kenley Jansen, comes into the game
future
and
Hall of Famer.
Can't get anybody out. Gave up a hit, 3 walks, 4 earned runs, and then they brought in they carried him in a coffin. Rich Hill. And I respect the fuck out of Rich Hill. That guy is a baseball lifer. He's an awesome dude. Dick Mountain. But there is no world where he should be on a major league roster at all.
We're gonna remember Rich Hill for like the rest of our lives.
Of
like
course.
we're gonna do the game when we're like in our 50s, like sitting around naming athletes, and like Rich Hill's gonna come up. We're gonna be like, oh, fucking Rich Hill was the man.
Rich Hill's gonna be 90 at that point.
Remember when Rich Hill had that perfect game through 9 against the Pirates in the 0-0 game? I think it was a good dueling shutout with Mitch Keller. I was like, I fucking love Rich Hill, dude. Like, but yeah, he came into that game. He immediately walks McNeil on 4 pitches, and then Alvarez draws a 7-pitch walk, and then Harrison Bader. Shout out Harrison Bader. After 3 straight walks, Rich Hill can't throw a strike. He fucking swings at the first pitch.
And it was a ball. It was not going to be called a strike.
It was a borderline pitch, but I fucking love Harrison Bader for that. Because you know what? Harrison Bader's a guy who's like, we're winning by 4 runs. I'm gonna get mine right here. I can't get a hit. I need to get back in the starting lineup. Probably got the game. I'm gonna get mine right here. I'm gonna get it. And it was
good sack fly.
Yeah, hit a sack fly. Wound up working out.
And I'll say this: his at bats looked better today. His at bats before had looked really bad. His at bats looked a little more in control, a little more of a plan today.
Yeah, Keith said that Bader has been hitting every single day in the cage with Eric Chavez, like every single Yeah, a little bit. And he said, I think it said Jeremy Barnes as well. Like, and he said he did a couple after the games. Like, hey, come here, guys. Watch my swing. Ask me, tell me I'm doing wrong. Tell me about the approach. Tell me about everything. Because I have to find a way to get back on track here. And maybe that's part of getting back on track. But it was a nice way to relax because this game felt tight for a while,
Very.
and then we could take a breath and be like, okay, now we have an easy win.
And
Wait, quick Edwin stuff.
I was going to shout out the bullpen.
There you go. You shot the bullpen before. I one earned run over. I think that was what 3, 2, and then 5. Math.
What are you saying?
1 run over 9 innings this series for the bullpen.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah,
You're just naming numbers.
Loopy episode. This was the first time in this 9th inning because Edwin came in. He walked the first batter on 4 pitches, which I couldn't even believe.
Would you text me?
What I just said when I texted you.
You texted me when Edwin walked the first batter on 4 pitches. You said, quote, Edwin, what the fuck, dude? Was this a joke?
And then you look right after that. First time since September 25th, 2022, they throw multiple pitches over a true 100-mile-an-hour. The Messed Up podcast does not round up on pitch velocity. We do not round up pitch velocity in this podcast. First time through 2 pitches over 100-mile-an-hour in the same outing. I look back at some of those outings, 2022, and I was waiting for you to come on. The one we threw 7 fastballs in a row over 100 miles an hour. I was
against
like,
who?
Was it? Was that one of those series in early? It might have been the Dodgers series in early September. They get that last save in the 8th inning when Buck brought him in the 8th inning. The one thing, the rally bun. The one thing that Buck did where he was like, I'm gonna grab. I think a lot of people do this. Maybe not all of them like have jobs in professional sports where they're like, I'm gonna pick one smart like thing that I hear and I'm gonna stick to that. It's like football starting this weekend. There's gonna be a guy at your hang at the bar. A team's going to be down by 14, score a touchdown. He's going to be like, hey, go for 2. Yeah. Go for 2. Numbers tell you got to go for 2 here. And like all the old school stuff tell you never works. But that was what Buck did with bringing Edwin in the 8th inning that year. Like, I'm going to bring him in the 8th inning. I'm going to let him get the 3-hitter out. That was great. And also Edwin threw his fast pitch of the season at 100.8 miles an hour.
Hell yeah. Love to see that from Edwin. And you know what?
Nice.
Shout out the bullpen again. Alex Young. Good job. Did his job. Huascar Brazoban. Never feel comfortable. He puckered asshole when he comes into the game, but he got it done. Got a big double play. Danny Young, fantastic ERA down to 2.7, and Phil Maton doing the Phil Maton experience, throwing 87 and blowing it by guys. Absolutely love to see it. Great series win by the Mets. A couple big double plays in this game, which were huge when the game
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Don't win the game without them.
Don't win the game without them. Good defense. That's why you play it. That's why it's important. Overall, fantastic series by the Mets. One of the best played series they've had all year.
Truthfully, and it feels good to. Now, because it feels like as we get through the season, the Mets are 12 games over 500 now.
12 games.
To beat a team easily, that's not a bad team, but that you're a tier ahead of.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, see what I'm saying there? Like, we're better than the Red Sox. And now in this series, you could watch series and be like, we're better than the Red Sox. And I think it was either Tim or Tacoma had that quote about Rafael Devers after the game on Tuesday that he just stayed in his uniform with the bat in his hands, like staring at his locker for like 30 minutes after the game. I was like, that kind of sucks, but we've definitely been there before as Mets fans. So I don't feel bad for Rafael Devers, but it definitely sucks to see that happening. And I think that's basically it for the series. We forget anything obvious here?
You mentioned J. Martinez paternity. I'm assuming he's back this weekend because the baby girl was born, I believe, in Miami. Flew all the way down there for that. So glad to hear that for JD and his family. Get him back in the lineup. Days off are great. We win with days off with JD, even better. Get those legs fresh, those new cleats for the weekend against the Reds. We will be previewing that series here in a second, but we would be doing you guys a disservice if we didn't talk about Francisco Lindor MVP. Because it's only getting stronger and stronger. Now, granted, Shohei Otani's also playing still incredibly good because he's crazy. But I know James is ready to spit some takes here about why Francisco Lindor is the MVP over Shohei Otani. So I'm just going to let the floor be yours, and I'll chime in when I feel it's appropriate.
I'm just fucking tired of this shit. Like, I'm so tired of having to go out and defend Francisco Lindor with my sword and my shield every single day for years now. We had the conversation with a high school buddy that we ran into outside Citi Field on a Tuesday, and it was him and his buddy. And his buddy, they're both big Mets fans. But
shout out Mike Murray. Shout out Ferraros in Westfield.
Yeah, I was gonna say his last name, but yeah, shout out Ferraros.
Shout him out.
great business. Everyone should go get a dish of pasta there if you happen to be in Union County, New Jersey. However, he's definitely more of a casual Mets fan, surely, like a lot of Mets fans are. And he was saying that he never really liked Francisco Lindor the last few years. He didn't think he was that good or worth the contract. And he likes to see players with higher batting averages. And his friend was like, dude, stop. I've been telling you for years that this is it. Now he's finally succumbed to be like, all right, this guy's great. But I think it's finally over. It feels like it's finally over. The national discussion is now all the way on board with Francisco Lindor having the best season of his career, carrying this Mets team to the playoffs. Ron Darling was on MLB Network on Wednesday afternoon, spitting, saying how much Francisco Lindor deserves the MVP award over Shohei Otani. Everyone is getting in the conversation now. And I want to just have a couple things here to talk about with Lindor and Otani for a second. One is just simply, it's going to be really dumb. It's innings that these players have been on a baseball field this year.
All right. Yes.
Yeah. And you want to know the difference in how many innings they've been in the baseball field this year?
Yeah, tell me. I'm not looking at the notes, so I would be shocked.
Yeah. Otani has had 626 plate appearances this year. And 5 of those plate appearances come in innings where his Dodgers batted around. So he's been on a baseball field for 621 innings this baseball season.
Okay.
Francisco Lindor has 633 plate appearances this year. Actually, no. Also, I didn't include the 5.
Wait.
What?
You could even cut those in half because he's not playing the field. It's only hitting. He's played half innings, Shohei Otani.
I guess that's true. Half innings. Yeah, I'm just going to say amount of, okay. So we're only talking about half innings. Half innings that his feet have been on dirt. Yeah. That's all we're talking about right now. So Shohei Otani, it's 621 half innings that his feet have been on dirt the whole season. Francisco Lindor, he's at 638 plate appearances. From what I saw, it was quick and I'm loopy. 3 times he's come up when the Mets have batted around this season. So push that back down to 635. And then, oh my God, wouldn't you know it? 1,224 2/3 innings that he's been on the field, which I don't know how he's only been on the field for 2/3 of an innings. I don't remember him ever this year coming on or off an inning with an out, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. Don't remember that at all, but that was a Fangraph said, so I don't know, whatever. We're going with it. But imagine that. He's been on the field for 2/3 more innings than Shohei Otani's been on the field this year. Then his feet have been on dirt. Shohei Otani's feet have been on dirt probably his entire baseball season. What, like a couple of hours?
Yeah, definitely not too long.
No, I'm serious. Like man, what? Like 2 hours and 93, 2 hours and like 27 minutes?
James, if you want to have a tweet that will bang incredibly hard, this is what you have to do. You have to time it.
You gotta figure that out.
That's a catastrophic banger.
How many minutes Otani's feet have been on dirt this season?
That might be one of the most like baseball tweets ever.
But we're talking about 1,200 more half innings that show that's more than double the amount of half innings Otani's participated in. It's fucking delusional. And this is, I think, the reason why a designated hitter has never won the MVP award, because you're not really playing that much baseball. You're not.
Buck Showalter said it best. If you go 0 for 4, you did nothing.
And we're going to give Lindor all of his credit after this. But first, I'm going to keep talking shit about Shohei Otani. So, Shohei Otani this year.
Difficult to do. I don't know how you're going to do this, but.
Well, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it right now. I'm gonna throw a nuclear take at your face right now.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think he's the most valuable player in the Dodgers.
Wow. Nuclear.
I don't think so. I'm not even kidding.
Don't make me defend him. Come on.
My whole thing is I think playing the field is monumentally important. I think most people don't realize. I think most people listening to this podcast do, because we watch Francisco Lindor every single day and we see how good he is. The Dodgers this season without Mookie Betts in the lineup are 26-20. It's kind of a mid team. Yeah. With Mookie Betts, they're 58-35.
It's pretty good.
I think that there's a monumental difference between those two things. While Shohei Otani's been in the field for all of those games, for some reason they have like a 700 winning percentage with Mookie Betts and like a 550 winning percentage without him. I think that is kind of a realistic point here with Lindor and Otani for the MVP. And the last big thing here with Otani, again, Otani's fucking amazing. He's probably the most talented baseball player any of us are ever going to see, literally in our entire lives. He's probably the most talented athlete any of us are going to see in our entire lives. A big reason for that is the pitching with the hitting, not doing the pitching this year. So Shohei Otani can walk into the ballpark every single day, and he's doing video analysis of every single pitcher he's facing. Mm-hmm. He's looking at pitch mixes. He's looking at game planning of how he's going to be attacked, how they pitch other similar left-handed power hitters, inside, outside pitch mix in different counts, this and that. And he can also spend a lot of his time watching videos of these guys approach, these guys set up, these guys pick off moves, and understanding how to steal these bases. Because stealing bases, I think, is a mental game that most people don't realize more than a physical game. Just being fast doesn't let you steal bases. Stealing bases, you have to know every single step these pitchers take and how to do that. Otani is such a freak that he probably doesn't have to do that as much. He could just swipe the bases because he's so fast and so just simply so long. He can get to second base in less strides than most people. But the fact that he can spend all that time doing that, where Lindor's come to the ballpark, he can't spend that time doing that. He has to spend time on defense. He spends time with leadership. He spends time with his wonderful dental charity that he was doing. He did the event on Tuesday afternoon too. It's everything is coming together here. Like if Lindor didn't play the field, he could probably hit more home runs and steal more bases, don't you think?
I mean, listen,
it's a good chance, right?
The theory, the hypothesis tells me he would. So I'm with you. Maybe he's 50-50. Probably not, but maybe.
And then we talk about the fact that like we do arbitrary endpoints all the time. I get that.
Of
What
course.
fucking ever. Since Lindor was installed as the Mets leadoff hitter, I think that was May 13th was the exact day. May 18th, I think it was May 18th. He's worth almost 2 WAR more than Shohei Otani. That is such a big difference. I talk about all the time that, WAR is not the best stat. I think the way people use WAR now is a little bit flawed because people are like checking the leaderboard every single day to see who's ahead by a tenth. Like Mike Mayer's tweeting them out, like Joe DeMayo's tweeting them out. Everyone's like, here's who's winning for the WAR stat by 0.2.
I do my Luis Arias thing where I just take the
Yeah,
guys who have more
yeah,
WAR than I'm like, they're better.
that's what I'm saying. But that's past the point of error, where Francisco Lindor is so much more valuable than Shohei Otani over a strong period of time. It's hard to defend Otani anyway. And now we're even getting to a point where the full season, because Lindor's been so blazing hot, it's getting to that point too. He's worth over a half more win than Otani. So now we're getting past the point of error there with WARs. And then even since that point where he's been hitting leadoff, he's within eye shot of Otani's WRC plus. He's within 5 points of it. He's hitting 300.
Really?
Yes, he's hitting 300 since that point too, with nearly 400 on base percentage and a 500 slugging percentage. This is hitting that isn't. I don't think is being talked about enough because of how awful the start of the season was. And of course, if Lindor didn't start the year 1 for 40, I don't even think this would be a fucking debate. I think he would be running away with this. And that part of it kind of sucks. But Otani has these cute, amazing numbers, and he has better stats. But he's just not more valuable than Francisco Lindor. He's not.
And I'll tell you, I'll give you one to help you out too. We love the Fangraphs dollar thing. We've used that in the past to prove how Francisco Lindor is worth so much more than his contract is even valued at. Because people like to say he's $30 million. His worst season with the Mets, $31.5 million in terms of value, according to Fangraphs. This year, his value on September 5th is $57.5 million. That's how much he is worth as a player this season. So $25 million more than he's getting paid. Otani, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, all that good stuff. Worth less money, $53.4 million. So even on the money side, theoretically, Francisco Lindor is worth more. So if this is a true value award, which we know it's not, it's half popularity contest, half narrative, there's 3 halves. Half stats, and the counting numbers are always going to win.
That was Yogiism. That could be a good tweet for you. The MVP is 50% stats, 50% narrative, and 50% popularity.
100%. There we go. And Francisco Lindor is more valuable statistically than Shohei Otani right now. Now, here's what I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this before you go off on Shohei again. Kind of fucking insane that he's as good as Francisco Lindor and all he does is hit. Pretty crazy.
It's unbelievable. Shohei Otani right now, purely as a hitter, is having one of the best seasons we've seen in the modern era of baseball.
Yeah,
Truthfully.
And
I'll put my hand up and say that.
And simply just hitting, he's basically the same value as Francisco Lindor. Kind of crazy, kind of nuts as the other MVP.
That's insane. That's nothing. But I'll tell you this: if Francisco Lindor sat on the bench for 2 hours and 20 minutes every single night, his legs would be a lot fresher to steal more bases.
There it is.
And another part, we're not good enough at math. I don't know how valuable a stolen base really is. I think it's quite valuable, but it's definitely less valuable than like a double. I don't know. So you can't just add all those singles to I think stolen bases are cool, but I don't think they're like just because a guy stole 50 bags. I mean, I'll tell you this. I'm true to my word. I was the same way last year with Acuna versus Mookie Betts. I told you with tooth and nail that I thought Mookie Betts should have been the MVP of the National League.
You did say that. You are true to your word.
And it's because he played fucking shortstop. Shortstop's insane. It's so hard to play shortstop and be one of the best at it every single day. And Lindor does that. And this Mets would fucking suck without Francisco Lindor.
Bad.
We would be horrible. It's the same thought exercise I gave to you last time. I gave it to Eric Samolsky, my co-host on the Roto World Fantasy Baseball show today, and he was stunned by the question, stupefied. He couldn't even answer it. I was like, if you switch Lindor and Otani right now in their teams, like how much do each of those teams' records change? Dodgers, maybe a shade better. Mets, probably about 5-10 games worse.
Yeah,
truthfully.
No, definitely. There definitely would be worse. And it doesn't conceptually make sense, but it's correct.
He's more valuable. But the big part of this, come back, bring this full circle. Absolutely none of this means jack shit unless the Mets make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. If the Mets miss the playoffs, Lindor should not win the MVP.
No, should not.
I'll say that wholeheartedly. But if the Mets do make the playoffs, I find it hard to believe he won't. I mean, I find it hard to believe he shouldn't. I still don't think he will, but I think he's much more deserving than a lot of people give him credit for.
It will simply be on the backs of Francisco Lindor if they make it. What the hell is in this? There's a huge bug. How do you even get in here? The windows are closed.
Maybe he's been living in there. He's been growing.
He's chilling. It looks like a moth. Shout out moths. Lindor's incredible.
Shout out moths.
Hit streak, on base streak, 30 homers, 84 RBIs, 26 stolen bases, 844 OPS, 274 average for all the average people out there.
It's fucking disgusting.
Whoa.
What? Moth?
No. For his career slash line, 274, 342. Average on base right now this season, 274, 343. It's pretty good. Higher OPS than his career slash line, by the way.
And those career slash lines were inflated by the fucking crazy rabbit ball that was happening in 2018 to 2019 when he had the best seasons of his career.
I was told he was cooked. I was told his best days were behind him.
That's what I'm saying. It's just bullshit. It sucks that it doesn't suck. It's just part of the world. I love talking about baseball with everybody on earth as we do on Twitter all day long. But it just sucks that a lot of guys. This happened to Lindor. This happened to Gleyber Torres. Probably it's happened to Vlad the first time. Did it happen to Vlad the first time? 2019.
Gleyber not as much. It's happened with Vlad. Gleyber stinks now too, but yeah.
No, I'm saying it did happen with Gleyber. I think people now this year has been horrible, but I think people were unfairly critical of him because he got a lot of stats that weren't real.
Correct.
Because Rob Manfred changed the baseball and didn't tell anybody. And for 2 years, 2018, 2019.
Probably Pete Alonso too, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably Pete Alonso a little bit too. But I digress. Pete Alonso did that for 1 year. I mean, Aaron Judge. No, he's so
he's so good. You stop it right now.
I was fucking around with that one. But this brings it back into, as we do every single episode, brings it back into focus how fucking good Jacob deGrom is, because those 2 years.
So good.
Those are two of the statistically the best seasons I've ever pitched in the history of baseball, and I'll stand by that because of how ridiculous baseball was. But just Lindor having the 38 homers, the 45 doubles, it wasn't real because of that baseball. But now it's this is much more indicative of how he is a hitter, because it's always in terms of the rest of the league. And the fact that OPS, WRC plus, all that stuff is better than he's ever been. I mean, even better than the career slash line, because of those years were inflated. It's just crazy. Then also just a couple other things. 2 more.
Go
three
for
of
it.
three of the 5 guys that went 40-40 did not win MVP, or 2 of the 5 guys. So
Alfonso Soriano.
And Barry Bonds lost to Ken Caminiti in 96 somehow, some way.
That's honestly probably why he started juicing. He was like, that guy's cheating. That could be the whole thing.
That could be the origin story.
Yeah.
Also, it's because Barry Bonds was a dick to reporters, and the reporters vote on the award.
Yeah.
So that was before. And also, I don't know. My dad told me this the other day, and Ron Darling talked about it too in either MLB Network or during the game tonight. When Ted Williams hit 400, he did not win MVP.
That's fucked up.
That's fucked up because Joe DiMaggio, the 56-game hit streak, gave him the MVP for the hit streak. And also because Ted Williams was a dick to reporters. Fiscal Lindor is so nice to reporters. He's so nice every single day to the reporters. You know who's not nice to reporters?
I don't think that's
Shohei Otani's not that nice to reporters.
I don't think that's true. I've heard great things about Shohei.
I've heard he's kind of curmudgeon with the reporters a little bit. I've heard he's very closed off in the past.
He's private. He's a private man. I won't slander Shohei Otani's person.
No. I'm not going to slander his person at all. I'm just saying that, I think, give the guy who plays the full game. No DH has ever won the MVP award.
It's Mr. Smile.
But everything, asterisks, Mets have to make the playoffs.
And right now they're not in the playoffs, so he's not the MVP yet.
True, right. But let's keep fucking going.
Let's keep going. Let's keep playing good baseball. We got the Reds coming up this series. A little series preview for you. They are a baseball team.
Yeah. Before we do Reds, one more random thing I want to talk about Mets world. Ian Levin, we talked about this before, announced that he was leaving the team in the offseason, assistant general manager. I fucking love it. David Stearns.
Trimming the fat.
Crazy. This dude is so cutthroat. I love it. We're going to have a day soon in the future, maybe within 24 months, where there's no more Wilpon holdovers in the front office, and we're going to throw a party. Mark, we're going to go out drinking. We're going to cheers at JD's, and we're going to just have a great night because there will be no more remnants of the Wilpons in this organization.
No more.
And the front office. Yeah. Organization, we know a lot of great people who were here for a long time, and they stay forever. And shout out the Mark Levine photo well that they dedicated to him this week. Too.
Yes, very smart.
Yes,
he was a beast.
But we're talking front office. Can't wait to every Wilpon holdovers out of the front office.
Yeah, no, it truly will be a celebratory day.
Momentous occasion.
All right, James, do you got the pitching matchups for this Cincinnati Reds team? I genuinely don't know who's really pitching for them because Hunter Green's hurt, and is Nick Lodolo hurt? I'm sure he is.
Yeah, Nick Lodolo's hurt. So as of right now, the Reds have not announced. We don't have any pitchers from the schedule, but I think it's going. All right, as of right now, we think just based on who's pitched the last few days for them, and I'm a sicko because I know who's been pitching the last few days for the Cincinnati Reds. But we're gonna have Nick Martinez probably pitch against us, and Julian Aguilar.
Who?
Yeah, and then the other one, I don't know.
Carson Spears, maybe Tony Santana.
Spears has been getting blitzed the last few outings.
We have a chance to get Rhett Lauder or Brandon Williamson, maybe.
Oh, I think we will get Rhett because he pitched Sunday.
No, Rhett's pitching tomorrow against the Astros. Okay. That's what it says.
So we're gonna miss Rhett. Lodolo, I think, is also on the IL because he's always on the IL. Hunter Green's on the IL. Yeah, I don't know if this Reds team even knows who they're going to pitch possibly this weekend.
Possibly, I might call somebody up. All right, and then for us, we've got what? Quintana, Minaya, Severino again.
Yeah, Minaya, Quintana, Severino. They switched Minaya up a day and then pushed Severino back a day. Move Quintana back a day, I guess. Give him an extra day of rest. Also, just keep an eye on 5 days because he is just so fucking locked in right now.
Let him cook. Of course, to talk about on the offense, Ellie De La Cruz, most electric player arguably in baseball right now.
I think
2 homers, 61 stolen bases, 819 OPS. He's a firecracker. The dude's a pistol. He's going to run really fast. He's going to hit balls really far. He's going to make a lot of bad plays at shortstop. He's going to make crazy plays. He's going to make some that make you go, wow, how do you do that? He's going to make a lot go where you go, whoa, how do you do that in the wrong way? But he's going to steal. He's going to cause chaos. just you can't let him get on base, and you got to throw the ball out of the zone because he will chase. That's the big thing with Ellie.
Here, officially, I went to a different website. They're saying that we're going to actually not get Nick Martinez. It's going to be Brandon Williamson and then Jacob Junis.
Whoa, slider
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, long-term Jacob Junis back throw 65% sliders against us. But I think Ellie gets some unnecessary shit with defense because he's such a freak athlete that he gets to so many balls that most other human beings would not get to. It's the anti-Derek Jeter
Yes,
where he just gets to
so
everything.
much
So then he
range.
just yeah, and then he just Ellie has so much range. That'll be my next Twitter handle. But he tries to do things that are like just crazy. Like he'll get the ball in the hole and he'll just throw it a million miles an hour to first base, and it just probably won't be near the bag. Like that's just the way Ellie De La Cruz plays. But I think he actually still is a net positive on defense because,
Yes.
like in terms of the numbers, because he gets to everything. But it's just he's right now kind of like, just to use one of your favorite animals. He's like a teenage giraffe.
Mm.
Like he's an adolescent giraffe who he's finally getting his might and he's feeling his fury, but he's not full grown. He doesn't really know how to get up to his proper speed yet the right way. Yeah, he's a lot. It's still a lot of limbs and a lot of chaos. But when he gets to his final evolution, I think that he's gonna. I think next year he's running 1 year behind the Bobby Witt timeline, just
Yeah.
based on when they debuted and literally how old they are. I think next year you're going to see Ellie De La Cruz play baseball. You're going to be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
Like
no,
this is an alien shortstop.
he's a super special player. Might become a center fielder, I think, in the future, especially because the Reds don't really have center field. But
And he's 98th percentile, and that's above average shortstop.
that's great. Well, because I think the arm. I think that's a big part of it too. Is his
Yeah,
arm is
it's
so
all
good,
good.
but he does make a ton of errors. So I don't know how that lines up. Or he makes.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people complain about his defense that watch the Reds, which is confusing because he also is easily your best player.
I think this is it's both because he makes a lot of bad throws.
Yes.
He makes a lot of bad throws, and he gets to everything. And then so sometimes he just gets to one and clanks off glove, like make the play, but he just covered like
True.
6 feet in a second and a half.
Yeah, no,
Also,
Ellie De La Cruz is one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball. If I say anything negative about him, it's not because I dislike him. I just have to say both sides because I could glaze the dude for hours, basically.
totally. And to give him my flowers, I think I was the first person on earth to Ellie De La
You
Cruz.
were, definitely.
It was 4 years ago. I watched him
COVID?
take I watched him take an at bat in the DSL in the backfields right after the pandemic, and I was like, this guy is going to be everything. I got him in every dynasty team for that reason. I've been reaping the rewards.
We have a former friend coming back to the friendly confines of Citi Field. That would be Ahmed Rosario making an appearance. He has been playing for the Reds. Not particularly good, but he's playing.
And also, kind of sucks. Dom Smith was cut by the Reds on Tuesday.
No.
Yeah, we almost got within a week. We almost had we had 2 shots at Dom Smith, and we got neither of them actually came through because he was cut by the Red Sox 2 weeks ago.
That's true. Wow, dang.
Yeah, so that's a shame. But otherwise, this Reds team is just really Ellie, Jonathan India.
He'll hit a home run.
We're gonna get good Jonathan India content because his dad lives on Long Island. He has biceps bigger than Mark and I's head, and he loves the fucking Mets, so he's going to be at this game ready to go. Probably get a little split jersey action. We're also going to get inundated with Diaz brother content, as we always do.
And how the Mets should trade for Alexis Diaz, despite him being, I think, pretty horrible this year.
Worse than he has been. He's rounded out a little bit after a really bad first few months, but definitely still not like one of the best relievers in the league.
Someone we don't need to trade for. That's basically what I want to say.
Yeah, definitely. You can get much better pitchers for much less than Alexis Diaz.
Former Met Justin Wilson making an appearance. I did not realize he's still pitching. That's crazy.
There you go. And then talk about Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer is one of the unsung heroes in baseball this season. I guess more so fantasy baseball, just because he's been a menace. I'm loading the stats right now. He's 2020 guy, just out of absolutely nowhere. 19, 23, 30 doubles, 2 triples. It's only hitting 230, so the batting average people are going to hate that. But this is like the classic Ian Happ season, and Spencer Steer's doing it as a guy who the Reds got was Tyler Mahle?
I think so.
Is that Tyler Mahle trade?
That is the Tyler Mahle.
Might have been him and Christian Encarnacion Strand, maybe both of them.
Yeah, and Stephen Hajar, which he's in the minors.
Wherever that happens. But this Reds team is just one of the baseball teams of all time. Truthfully.
Beat him.
Jake Fraley, Ty France actually hitting the ball well, my arch nemesis. TJ Friedel plays good ball, but he's been injured on and off this whole year.
Rhys Hines?
Yeah, Rhys Hines is wild. He just hits the ball. He swings as hard as he can every single time out. So a lot of times he misses, but when he hits it goes really far. We're going to see Brent Souther, a David Stearns favorite.
True.
We know he loves David Stearns. David Stearns, those two are the best. Brent Souther will be a Met at some point, probably in the next few years, just for no reason at all. I'm trying to find an interesting reliever in this bullpen. I'm struggling a little bit right now.
Sam Moll?
Sam Moll, the Reds, he's a good reliever. He's solid. The Reds got him last year for Joe Boyle, which was like the A's and the Reds being like, let's trade problems and let's see if who could fix the other person. But Moll's a fun lefty. He throws 93. It's a lot of sinkers. It's a big sweeper. Lefties with sweepers, though, I'm never that like obsessed with. I don't know. I don't see that much there. Brett Lowther's fun. You got crushing his first appearance. Emilio Pagan is still kicking out in that bullpen. It's one of the baseball teams of all time.
Yeah, we've had enough of them. Let's beat them. Let's beat the shit out of the Reds.
Yeah, beats the shit out of the Reds.
All right.
And you're checking reviews?
While you load up Frankie Peppers, because of course we got to listen to our guy, we do have a couple reviews, and I don't think we've read these. August 19th. I think that's the last, or August 21st, maybe. I'm going to read this one. Straight Shooter 411. I feel like it's been a couple weeks. Been listening to James and Mark since the beginning of the season and can definitely say they're the best baseball podcast I've tried out. They have great chemistry and incredibly deep baseball knowledge that makes every episode both funny and informative. Their insights into the nuances of pitching and the outlook of various prospects are some of the best in the business. I'd highly recommend this podcast to any fan of baseball, regardless of whether you support the Mets, which I appreciate it. And then this one, I actually don't remember reading. Jero09 says, 5 stars, great stuff, great stuff. Hopefully I'm not repeating myself because I don't see my review on the list. These guys are great. I listen to them through the good times and bad times. There are too many podcasts that want to be really negative when the Mets lose, but these guys sort of split the middle. Trust me, I hate when the Mets lose a game. They should have won, but they break it down really well. Also love the Rock-a-Rolla references. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate those reviews. I think we've basically gotten all the other ones. If you want to shout out on the next episode, drop us a review.
Yeah, totally. Also, I'm looking back. Will Sam just had a good tweet. Mets signed Danny Young for $825,000.
That's about right. Yeah, minimum.
It's probably someone listens to this podcast that makes more money than that.
Definitely. I think I actually know exactly who does.
Actually, yeah, I think there's exactly one person for sure who listens to this podcast that makes more money than that. But
those people are high places.
Yeah, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, Frankie Peppers is back with a vengeance. Sent me this at 10:25. I think moments after the game ended.
Hey, he's probably in bed right now.
Gentlemen, Frankie Peppers, how you doing? You see what happens when Frankie cooks for you. Sweep 2 in a row. I'm not saying that, the Mets swept because I cooked, but, I'm not saying that the Mets swept because I cooked for you. I hope you enjoyed. I worked really hard on it, and it was actually one of the better sausage and peppers I've ever made. So I hope you enjoyed it. The bolognese is coming on Friday. Don't you worry, James. And hopefully that also gives us some good energy going into the Red Series. Speaking of the Red Series, I'm actually going to be at the game on Saturday at 4:10. So perhaps if one of you boys or maybe both you boys are there, good old Frankie could say hi, potentially. I don't know, maybe get you a beer or something. Anyway, boys, I will talk to you soon. Let's go, Mets. We are on one.
Wait, we got part 2.
We have part 2? There's more?
And forgive me, I almost forgot. Francisco Lindor, MVP, no questions asked. Thanks, boys.
No questions
It's a
asked.
legend. So, are we going to be able to make it Saturday? It's a big college football day, but it's a bit of a cupcake schedule on Saturday.
I'll say this could be bold. Michigan, Texas is noon. Game starts at 4.
Wow.
You could twist my arm.
Texas might blow out Michigan too if it's an early blowout. I mean,
it's definitely a wake up and check the weather game.
Oh yeah, major check the weather. Which I don't know what it looks like. I don't have the weather outlook.
I'll do. I have not checked.
We need a weather guy for the podcast. I think just a guy who could just tell us.
Oh, that could be next, dude. When I used to do the First Pitch podcast for Nick Pollock and Pitcher List, we had a weather guy who every single day. I think Nick knew him for years, and he would literally send in like a 30-second snippet of him doing the weather.
Yeah, I think
and it was fucking electric.
Yeah, that's. Maybe Matt, if he returns, maybe Matt's the weather guy now.
That could be the weather guy. Give us the weather for the next series, the 3-day outlook. Also, a quick prospect report because we didn't give one. I'm kind of going to probably chill in the prospect reports because we did the big top 25 a few weeks ago, and it's get tough time in the regular season, so we got to talk about it. Drew Gilbert, 6 homers in his last 13 games for Syracuse.
Love to hear that. And Brandsburg had a good appearance, right?
He did. Brandsburg, a good start. We'll give a bigger one maybe in a few weeks, and we have a chiller series. But right now, we're focused on the games at hand.
We're deep in the muck of September baseball, and I love every second of it. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd Up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Up Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the YouTube version of this. And if you are listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark with a C. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you all after the Red Series. Football's back. Go Commies.
Peace out. See you guys next time. Go Bucks.